Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks podcast. And this is the fan reaction show. We're going to be reacting to trending topics, but one of the most interesting one, which I probably think that one episode will not do enough justice. Probably we'll try to see if I can get someone to actually give their opinion on things like this. Is with regards to this situation with Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes made some comments, some really damning, deep, interesting comments that we need to actually dissect. And for me, I feel like there are certain things that need to be talked about with regards to what he said. And obviously he holds, he has a voice, especially in the sphere of, content creation and Manchester United and everything in between. And for him to kind of, make such statements, we're going to listen to it. I'm going to try to avoid playing the video for copyright strikes and stuff. But I know if you read what is available online, you might not understand the full extent of what he said. But that conversation is not just a damning conversation with regards to that. It's a conversation, that was just like he slagged not just the manager, but also slagged the club. And we're here to react to everything. And when I was watching and reading everything that was said, I basically came up with a plan to kind of research, and we're going to do this research together here, and have a quick look at Manchester United's past managers and basically what they've done and the impact they have had and all of that on the club and on the team. And all of that, basically looking at the history of the club and the past managers, and basically what Paul Scholes said about these past managers, right? We're gonna have a look, and we're going to basically talk about them. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is, right? So basically that is what we're going to do now. Obviously, we know that from Sir Alex Ferguson, we had a couple of managers afterwards. We had David Moyes after Sir Alex Ferguson. Looking at the last 10 years, we had David Moyes in 13-14, and then we had Ryan Giggs for like 4 games towards the end of 13-14 season. And then the next manager we had was Louis van Gaal for 2 seasons. For 14-15 and 15-16, and then we had Mourinho 16-17 to 18-19, and then we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer from 18-19 to 19-20 to actually 2020 to 2021 season. And then so we had him from 18-19 when he came and took over half the season from December of 18-19, and he left in 21-22 season. And then we had Michael Carrick in that same 21-22 season for 2 games. Then we had Ralf Rangnick for 34 games, basically 14 plus 10, 34 games, 24 games rather, right? And then obviously the next person after the 20, that's so Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had half of 21-22. Michael Carrick had some games in 21-22 temporarily. Then Ralf Rangnick stayed 21-22, and then we had Erik ten Hag for 2 seasons, so 22-23, 23-24, and then 24-25. Halfway through, after about 9 games, Ten Hag was sacked. Van Nistelrooy stayed for 2 games, 1 win, 1 draw, and no loss. And then we had these are all Premier League games, right? And then we had Rúben Amorim, who came and played 14 games, lost 14 games, and won 7 and drew 6. So he didn't lose 13 games, but he lost. He was unbeaten in 13 and lost 14. So basically, 13 plus 14 is 37, basically, right? 13 plus 14. No, 27 rather, right? So for in 27 games, he had 7 wins, 4 losses, 6 draws, and 14 losses. Then So in all of his 24-25 season in the Premier League, Rúben Amorim had 7 wins. Now, after 15 games in the Premier League this season, he's had 7 wins, 4 draws and 4 losses. But yet, it is not enough. And we're going to be looking at some of these things probably as we're doing the research together, right? Now, I'm going to tell you, this is what I discovered from having a quick search on things, what I discovered with regards to what Paul Scholes had to say. It was a bit deep, and I discovered a pattern, basically. And these are the patterns that I have discovered, and I'm going to bring it to you and basically analyze it with you, right? But first, we have to listen to what he had to say. And the truth is, if you read, just maybe, let's see if we can read what is currently available online as to what has been said, and then we can actually draw our conclusions from there. You read what's currently available online, and then basically analyze it from there. So Paul Scholes, so this is what's trending. Paul Scholes questions Amorim's fit for Manchester United. You read that, and then you try to get a sense of what's going on. So despite a solid, so this is kind of like a summary, despite a solid win over Wolves, Scholes insists Amorim's 3 at the back setup clashes with United's history of bold, entertaining football from the Busby Babes to Sir Alex Ferguson. He criticized pulling defenders back to defend leads, recalling old managers who demanded teams to chase small goals. A year after taking over in November 2024, Amorim has United 6th with a modest win rate, prompting fans to debate if the Portuguese coach can revive the swashbuckling spirit amid Europa League demands, right? So this was what, so now I'm trying to see if I can get a full quote. Okay, so Center Devils posted a full quote, and I'm going to play the video, and then we can now get a sense of what is going on. Then I'll give you some background. Paul Scholes rips into Amorim and Manchester United's management. So this is basically a clear, straightforward idea of what he's saying. So I don't think this manager gets this job, full stop. I just don't think he is the right man. Manchester United's about risk and entertainment more than anything at home, especially having fans on the edge of their seat, ready to go, with the F-bomb there, right? Ready to go. Wingers who beat people, shots on goal, bits of skill. There's nothing there. That's from the club. We talk about this as a different club. So if you read this directly, you'll not understand the context it's trying to make, which I quite understand. They've got Omar Berrada, they've got Jason Wilcox, who are probably brilliant at their job, brilliant at what they do, but they are not Man United. They don't have a clue what it's like to buy a Man United player, to bring a Manchester United manager in. If you go to Sporting Lisbon and watch, they play 3 at the back right away. That's a no. Manchester United never do that. They can't do that. They just can't. It's been proven over years and years and years. And I'm talking even before Sir Alex Ferguson, it was always about 4-4-1-1 or 4-4-2 entertaining people. Like he hasn't got that in him. So this is directed at, after directing the shots at the leadership, he directed the shots at the manager as well. He hasn't got that in him. He's brought 4 defenders on against West Ham. If we go one goal up, the manager always says 2, 3, 4. I remember once, I think we were playing against Chelsea. We went 1 up and we sat back a little bit. Now, Chelsea were a good team. The manager went absolutely nuts after the game. And that doesn't happen here. When you score 1, you go for 2, you go for the, so what he said was you go for the throat. But they wrote you go for the throw every single time. I just don't think he gets it. So basically, it was a quote on Good Bad Football Pod or something. And then Man United fans are reacting like, every Man United fan should be backing Scholes here. This other one says, Matty FC says, losing respect for these legends. Scholes has done this with every manager since Alex Ferguson. Facts here. This according to Matty FC. And I will tell you why. Because the truth is, he does it. Matty FC, why I like this guy, Matty FC, is that he looks at stuff and not just reacts unnecessarily. He gives you straight up what is required, what is there, what has been, evident and all of that. And then obviously others have been reacting, says, oh, he's hated Mourinho and Rangnick too. The only one he's kept quiet about was his mate. And even with his mate, he's never kept quiet about him. We'll come to that. The era of you lot dictating and influencing the club's decisions is finally over. Keep hating from afar, right? That's what another fan says. So you played the game well, but this other one says you played the game well, but you don't understand anything about the game. You and most former players who decide to become mere pundits who only talk rubbish. These are responses from fans who actually see it absolutely spot on, every word depressingly accurate. And that's actually what, if you don't go back in history, you actually think Paul Scholes is actually spot on, right? You think he's actually spot on. Someone says this one is Yawo says Scholes, United Jelly. She says this clown had 1 win in 7 games at Oldham Athletic. We'll come to that. He resigned because he was a total failure. Arteta is right. Arteta is right there, helping his former club get back to where they belong. Why didn't this? I don't want to call the words and the names. Why didn't this one take the United job since he knows better? Facts. Okay, so now we're reacting. Let's not react. Because I have my take and I'll tell you my take. Now we need to listen to it because I've read out the whole thing, but when you listen to it, you kind of get a context of what Paul Scholes has said and where this is taking us. So I'll play it out, just the audio, so you get a sense of it without actually watching the video. It's all over social media and we react to it live, right? So let's go.
I don't think this manager just gets this club, full stop. Yeah. I just don't think he's the right man. Man United is about...
So he says, I don't think this manager gets this club, full stop. I don't think he's the right man, right? That's what he said, right? Okay, so let's keep it going.
Risk and entertainment more than anything.
At home,
so he says...
Risk and entertainment.
So he says Man United is about risk.
Man United is about risk and entertainment more than anything.
At home especially.
Having fans on the edge of the seat, fucking ready to go. Wingers who beat...
Now, you had Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt basically in that room with another person, and they were like, oh, Man United is about risk and entertainment and everybody ready to go, right? This is what he said, right? Just give me a quick second. So that's what he said. Man United is about risk. I don't think the manager gets this club, full stop. I don't think he's the right man. Man United is about risk and entertainment more than anything. Having fans go on the edge of their seat, ready to go. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, what are you getting at? What is the aim of this sort of interview, this sort of like response, this sort of talk? Because when you come out and you say Man United is all about risk and entertainment and more than anything, having fans on the edge of their seat and all that. Now let's listen to the whole context. Then we break it down. We'll start from the top. We'll listen to it. We'll break it down line by line. And then I can now tell you my take on all of this.
I don't think this manager just gets this club, full stop.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's the right man. Man United is about risk and entertainment more than anything.
At home especially.
Having fans on the edge of the seat, fucking ready to go. Wingers who beat people, shots.
So the person who said at home especially is Nicky Butt. Let's keep it going.
On goal, bits of skill. There's nothing there. That's from the club. We talk about this as a different club. They've got Omar Barada, they've got Jason Wilcox, who are probably brilliant at the job, brilliant at what they do. They're not Man United. They don't have a clue what it's like to buy a Manchester United player, to bring a Manchester United manager in. If you go to Sporting Lisbon and watch, they play 3 at the back. Right away, that's no. Man United never do that. They can't do that. They just can't. It's been proven over years and years and years. And I'm talking even before Sir Alex Ferguson, it was always about 4-4-1-1 or 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Entertaining people. He hasn't got that in him. He brought 4 defenders on against West Ham. If we go 1-0 up, the manager always said 2, 3.
The anchor was actually laughing at Paul Scholes, saying that he got 4 defenders on against West Ham. 4 defenders. And I like me a good proof, because I don't want to just come out and say stuff without having proof. We'll look at the West Ham game. We'll look at who was on the bench. We'll look at the subs, because you don't just come and talk out of anywhere because you have an opinion and stuff. But let's keep it going.
Oh, I remember once, I think we were playing Chelsea, went 1-0 up and we sat back a little bit. Now, Chelsea were a good team. The manager went absolutely nuts after the game. That doesn't happen here. When you score one, you go for two. You go for the throw every single time. I just don't think he gets it.
Okay. Now, he says Rúben Amorim doesn't get it. Well, Scholes is 51, basically, yeah? You look at his win percentage at Oldham Athletic, February 2019 to March 2019. 1 win, 3 draws, and 3 losses after 7 games. Then you look at him at Salford City, October 2020 to November 2020. 1 month, 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. 40% win percentage. The other one, 14% win percentage. Right? Okay. The last time he ever played for Manchester United was in 2012-2013 season, where he started 8 games, played 16 matches in total, 1 goal, 7 yellow cards, 770 minutes total played, right, in the Premier League, right? Now, he coached Salford City and Oldham Athletic. When he played for Manchester United, he played between 1992 and 2011, 264 games. They're saying here on FotMob that it might be inaccurate, but took 64 games, 41 goals. This was as between 92 and 2011. And then in 2012 to 2013, he was called back from retirement and he played 42 games. He scored 5 goals. No doubt. He says it could be inaccurate. Number of goals and matches before 2006 may be inaccurate in some cases, which is facts, right? But for Oldham Athletic, there's actually nothing showing. Oldham, he coached there for Salford, he coached there for 1 month. Oldham, he coached there for 1 month and he resigned, right? So there's nothing that says, oh, basically, this is a person that he has the track record, he's a manager, he's done the right things and stuff. Just a quick Google search, basically, on what Paul Scholes, and this is a pattern. But before that, he says Rúben Amorim doesn't get it. He says the ownership, Omar Berrada, Jason Wilcox, they don't get what it means to be a Manchester United or to be Manchester United. He never explained what that actually means. But now you come out and slag the ownership of Man United for no reason. Nicky Butt is there laughing because Nicky Butt was actually in the system before and walked out of the system, or because he wasn't offered a particular role, he left. I think he was looking at the role of technical director, and that role was offered to Darren Fletcher, who eventually left the technical director role, and they've recruited somebody who is actually a technical director for Darren Fletcher to now be coaching the under-18s. Nicky Butt wanted that role, but didn't get it because INEOS overlooked him. No doubt, as a club legend. Now, why I'm saying this thing, no disrespect to Paul Scholes as a legend. Like, we're taking his legendary status as a Manchester United legend and putting it to one side. As a player for Manchester United, he was no doubt undisputed with regards to one of the best midfielders in his generation. So we put that to one side. Not saying that he did not fail as an England player. So I'm not putting England in this picture. We're putting Paul Scholes to one side. His legendary status, his legacy, untouched. But when we talk about Paul Scholes as a pundit, he's always had it in for Manchester United. It's not about talking about all of the flaws, the negatives, the system, the style of play, the formation, because all he said is nothing with regards to the technical bits of the game. He just talked about vibes and style of play. He never talked about style of play. He talked about formation, 4-4-1-1. Rúben Amorim has said this time and again. It's not about formation. It's the intricacies within. Formation is just about, like I've said this on this channel several times, you set your cones around. You set your cones across the field, 3-4-3, right? But what happens basically is the fact that you have to how you play, who receives which ball, who wins second balls within that system. But for Paul Scholes, it doesn't matter. And that is where I have an issue with him. For Paul Scholes, it doesn't matter. And the truth is, in as much as I want to basically criticize or talk about some of the things he said, there are some points in what he said, but there are also some points I can counter in all he said. Let's start from the first one. I don't think he gets it. Now, it's not about bringing the negatives. It's about bringing solution. Who gets it? Do you get it? If you get it, why don't you apply for the role? I don't think he gets it. He's giving his opinion, no doubt. I don't think he gets it. You can because Man United is all about entertaining one player beating another player. This season, who has been trying to beat players? Mateus Cunha, Bruno Fernandes. They've been trying to dribble Ahmad, Mbumo. These are flair players that try to beat players. That try to beat players and try to kind of make things happen for the club. These are flair players. We're talking Brian Mbumo here. We're talking Amad Diallo here, who has been playing down the wings. We're talking Mateus Cunha, who tries to beat players for pace and stuff. So what are you looking for? What sort of flair are you actually looking for again? The flair we had in those times, Ryan Giggs and Cristiano Ronaldo, not even Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes didn't even have flair, right? But you say, entertaining, flair, dribbling one player, beating one player. Then he talked about other things like when he said, that putting players on the edge of their seat, putting fans on the edge of their seat and getting ready to go. What does that mean? Like, are we on the edge of our seats most times or not? Even when we've been struggling to win, especially with Rúben Amorim coming in. One thing I've said on this channel consistently is the fact that Rúben Amorim came to Manchester United at the time when we also had new owners who were trying to rebuild the club from ground up. These guys were trying to rebuild, like they ripped down the old system, ripped down the reliance on, we won the Champions League before. We won the Premier League before. We won this before. We won that before. Ripped it up from scratch and started building a foundation with typically a new team, new system, new everything. Is it that he doesn't want to accept that there's change? And this is a pattern, especially for Paul Scholes, with every manager that has come on with him. I can tell you for a fact, every manager. I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you. I'm going to open up all of his quotes, and I'll explain to you what I mean by every manager. He's done this with every manager, and it is evident. It is obvious, right? It is obvious that obviously that you just cannot win with Paul Scholes. You just cannot win with Paul Scholes. And it's not just Paul Scholes. It's also with all other pundits, including Gary Neville. We've not been hearing what Gary Neville has said, and all of that. So we'll look at that. Now he said, I think he said, basically, against West Ham, they had 4 defenders on. I'm like, okay, we're going to look at the West Ham game and I will explain to you what really happened. Now, this was the West Ham game where we drew, right? Excuse me. This was the West Ham game where we drew. Let's look at the lineup. In the lineup, we started with Aiden Heaven, centre back, a 19-year-old. Our 2 centre backs in Gary Neville, in Harry Maguire and Matthias de Ligt were injured. Aiden Heaven, Mazraoui, and Luke Shaw, right? Then, even if you wanted to play 4-4-2, who are the 2 centre backs you're going to use? Luke Shaw is a left wing back, but can be used as a centre back as well. Mazraoui is a right wing back, can be used as a centre back as well. He's more of a defensive guy than even your Dalot. Then, if you want to say, okay, what's his name? Lenny Yoro. Okay, he's still a young lad, 20 years. You want to say Lisandro Martinez. Just literally came back from an ACL injury. So who is your centre back? So the back 3 system, I mean, whatever the system is, first of all, back before you criticize. And if you're criticizing, criticize while bringing solutions. Okay, look at. The lineup was Son Lamens, Aiden Heaven, Nuzai Mazraoui, Luke Shaw. That was the defensive component, the keeper, and the 3 centre back. In mid, we had Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro, right? Then in wing backs, we had Dalot and Ahmad, right? He says we had 4 defenders on. I'm assuming, because we're drawing 1-1, the 4 defenders were Mazraoui, Heaven, Shaw, and Dalot. This guy doesn't get it. Actually, one person I'll say that doesn't get it is actually Paul Scholes, right? Then you say, okay, let's say we switch to a back 4. You say, okay, Heaven and Shaw as the centre backs, Mazraoui and Dalot as the wing backs. Then you have Ahmad as the right wing back, Cunha as the left wing back. We're playing 4-2-3-1. Cunha as left wing back, Ahmad as right. Ahmad as right winger, Cunha as left winger, Mbeumo as attacking midfielder, and then Xerxes as your striker, and then you have your 2 midfielders in the 4-2-3-1 in Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. That is still 4 at the back. Now, with the 3 at the back, you have your 3-4-2, and then you also have your Brian Mbeumo and Mateus Cunha, as well as Joshua Xerxes up top, right? You want to make subs. Look at the bench that Amorim had. Defender, Leny Yoro. Defender, Patrick Dogu. Midfielder, Manuel Ugarte, who most people don't like. Midfielder, Mason Mount, who is the most only impactful player that he could have brought on. Then defender, Lisandro Martinez, right? Then goalkeeper, Altabayande, Tyra Malacia, Kobe Menu, Shea Lacey. Harry Maguire and Benjamin Sesko were injured with Matthias de Ligt as well. But then, he had 4 defenders on. Who could he have brought on? He brought on Leny Yoro to replace another defender. He brought on Patrick Dogu to replace another defender in Dalot. Or I think he brought, let's see the subs. Just to give you a sense of what is actually going on. So he brought on Leny Yoro for Aiden Heaven, centre back, no doubt. He brought on Patrick Dogu, and after he brought on Leny Yoro, at halftime, Dalot scored like 8 minutes later. He brought on Patrick Dogu for Diogo Dalot, brought on, and because Dalot had a knock, or so he said. Then Manuel Ugarte for Mateus Cunha, midfielder. Mason Mount for Joshua Xerxes, midfielder or attacker. Then who else did he bring? He brought on Lisandro Martinez for sure. Who else could he have brought? You say Kobe Menu. Do you think in all your experience of understanding football, Kobe Menu is better than Casemiro in this team? That Kobe Menu can do what Casemiro has done for this team. Do you think with your great sense of understanding of the game and all of that, Kobe Menu is better than Casemiro? Kobe Menu is better than, or Kobe Menu will give you the same or even better output than Bruno Fernandes? Do you think with all of that Kobe Menu will give you the same output or better than Bruno Fernandes? No. Let's not kid ourselves or lie to ourselves. That's a fact. He talked about the West Ham game. That West Ham game, a lot of things happened. No doubt Man United didn't win and all of that at home. But we didn't lose, right? Okay, he says he doesn't think the manager gets it. If you were in that position, what would you have done? Brought on Kobe Menu and played 4-4-2? Kobe Menu would just be ripped through in the midfield. Imagine a lineup for the first time in a couple of years that everybody has an impact. Aiden Heaven has an assist, Luke Shaw has an assist, Bruno has 4 goals and 6 assists, 10 goal contributions. Diogo Dalot has 2 goals and 1 assist, 3 goal contributions. Casemiro has 3 goals and 1 assist, 4 goal contributions. Ahmad has 2 assists and 1 goal, 3 goal contributions. Brian Mbeumo 6 goals, 1 assist, 7 goal contributions. Mason Mount 3 goals. Mateus Cunha 2 goals. Like, it's spread across. We are 3rd in the league when it comes to goals scored. What more do you want? That's my question. Oh, entertaining. We played entertaining football against Arsenal. We still lost. Is it about being entertaining? Because at the end of the day, you're going to be judged on results. And I'll tell you why. Because I won't just come and talk things without actually doing an actual research and all of that. Before I come and say anything, I will not just come and say anything and all that. So we'll look at what Paul Scholes said about the previous manager. So we'll start from the most recent, what Paul Scholes said about the most recent manager we had, Erik ten Hag. So we'll start that and we'll keep going back like that. Erik ten Hag. We'll look at that and we'll basically just, because it's a simple Google search will just show you everything that you need to know. We're looking at what Paul Scholes says about Erik ten Hag. Paul Scholes' comment on Erik ten Hag have been mixed, evolving from initial praise for bringing discipline. So you see that it's a bit of a flip-floppy kind of response. Initial praise for bringing discipline and an end of a no-nonsense approach to a later criticism of the team's lack of clear style of play and perceived regression. So you started with praising. Why don't you stick with it and provide solutions other than criticizing? You criticize without bringing solutions. Initially, he started with the praise in his first season success. Oh, no nonsense approach. Paul Scholes initially lauded Ten Hag for totally, turning around the club's culture by ensuring players followed the manager's wishes, unlike previous years. Okay? Leadership and belief. He noted an improvement in leadership within the squad and a newfound belief that, followed the team to find a way to win. Find a way to win. What about the entertainment and all that you talked about? Okay, cool. Brave decisions. Scholes praised specific brave decisions, such as dropping the then captain, Harry Maguire, from the starting lineup. Called it a brave decision, no doubt. Then, that was when Bruno Nab was given. Later criticisms and second season onwards. Uncoached team. That's what, what's his name? That's what Paul Scholes called the team. Uncoached. During the 24-25 campaign, Paul Scholes was highly critical, stating that the team looked uncoached and that the players appeared dead and lacked enthusiasm. Then he says there's a lack of direction as well. He expressed concerns that after more than 2 years, there was still no clear style or direction that the fans should get behind, feeling that the club was getting further away rather than closer to where the club should be. So he criticized Ten Hag. Then he goes on to say, with regards to regression, he says, he argued that Manchester United were regressing. This is what Paul Scholes said. Were regressing and not seeing improvement despite significant transfer spending. Then he talked about transfer decisions. With transfer decisions, he said Paul Scholes had also questioned specific transfer decisions, suggesting the signing of Anthony was a big one that ultimately contributed to Ten Hag's dismissal. Then the sacking comments. Following a particularly heavy defeat to Crystal Palace in May 2024, Paul Scholes stated that he felt Ten Hag should be sacked immediately prior to the FA Cup final. You can see a pattern here. It's the same things, the same script that's being played. Post-tenure reaction. After Man United concluded the end of a season review in 2024 and decided to stick with Ten Hag, Scholes acknowledged that the news was nice to wake up to, as it provided a bit of continuity. However, he stressed that major improvements were necessary for the following season. No doubt, you could say, oh, basically, he backed the keeping of Ten Hag. But also, a few weeks before, he wanted Ten Hag sacked before the FA Cup final. So it's a bit of a flip-flop. There's no direction or sense of direction with what he's saying and all of that. We're going to go to what Paul Scholes said about... We're going to talk about what he said. Who was the previous manager of Manchester United before then? It was Ralf Rangnick. We're going to talk about what he said about Ralf Rangnick. Okay, what Paul Scholes said about Ralf Rangnick. We'll go to that. And this is what Paul Scholes said about Ralf Rangnick. Paul Scholes was highly critical of Ralf Rangnick's appointment and performance as Manchester United interim manager, stating that he was a sporting director rather than a proper elite coach. This is the same Ralf Rangnick that has taken his team, Austria. International football is different from club football, but he's taking his team, Austria, to the World Cup for the first time, or the second time, I think. Same Ralf Rangnick. Ralf Rangnick had a 42% win rate. In Erik ten Hag's best season, that was his first season in charge, he had a 61% win rate. The next season, he had 47% win rate with 1.6 points per game. And then the third season before he was sacked, 33% win rate. Rúben Amorim had 26% win rate with 1 point per game. And then, obviously, this season of 15 games, he's had a 47% win rate. That's a jump with 1.7 points per game. No doubt. So this is what Paul Scholes said about Ralf Rangnick. Key criticisms is lack of elite coaching experience. Scholes repeatedly questioned Rangnick's credentials, pointing out that he had only coached the team for 2 years out of his previous 10 and never managed an elite big club like Manchester United. There's some facts in that, but you can see the pattern. He questioned the appointment. Scholes described the decision to hire Rangnick as astonishing and baffling, saying, how was he chosen to be a manager of this club? I don't know. How he was chosen to be a manager of this club, I don't. Bro, this thing is online. You can actually check it. Like simple and straightforward. I'll bring someone else. I probably will bring someone. I'll just reach out to someone. Someone we can talk about this and probably record a video tomorrow or something. With regards to style of play, Paul Scholes said with style of play and tactics, he criticized the team's performance under Rangnick, noting a lack of shape and the team looking all over the place at times. He felt other teams like Southampton under Ralph Hasenhüttl were better coached. Where's Ralph Hasenhüttl now? Where's Ralph Hasenhüttl now if he's a top coach? Why is he not in one of the best clubs in the country? No problem. The next thing, Paul Scholes also said, overall outlook. Okay, no, comparison to other managers. It's the same Paul Scholes that said he would take Diego Simeone over Rúben Amorim. Diego Simeone, no doubt. I'm not saying that Diego Simeone is not a good coach and stuff, but this is what Paul Scholes said, and we're going to work with it. Comparison to other managers, Scholes argued that Manchester United could have aimed for one of the top 5 managers in the world, such as Antonio Conte, who was available at the time, instead of Rangnick. He also claimed United would have advanced in the Champions League if they were managed by someone like Diego Simeone. But yet, why I'm annoyed is because obviously it was Diego Simeone that Paul Scholes had criticized in the past that he played negative football, and then we have a similar manager in Louis van Gaal that he criticized as well. Now, overall outlook, he predicted more pain for the club until a top-class elite coach was brought in to properly manage the team. Scholes' comments generally centered on the belief that Rangnick lacked the necessary coaching pedigree and the experience to manage a club of Manchester United's stature and demands. Like, for real, man. Now, if you also want to go and talk about what Paul Scholes said about who was previous manager before Ralph Rangnick, it was for previous permanent manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. In Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first season, he had a 57% win rate, 1.9 points per game. In the next season, he had 1.7 points per game, which is 47% win rate. And in the third season, he had 2 points per game, 55% win rate, basically in 2020 and 2021 season. And then obviously, when he came to the 21-22 season, before he was sacked, he had a 42% win rate with 1.4 points per game. That is after playing 12 games, he won 5, drew 2, and lost 5. Then Michael Carrick came on, and then obviously after that, Ralph Rangnick saw the season, to the end, and then was sacked before Erik ten Hag came on. Now, this is what Paul Scholes said about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who is his mate, basically. Right? Now, Paul Scholes, this is what he said about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, Paul Scholes' comments about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer evolved from initial support to pointed criticism regarding tactics, team selection, and an ultimate failure to win trophies. After Solskjaer's sacking, Scholes criticized his former teammates' coaching staff for remaining at the club. So basically, with the guys that we had at the time, I think Solskjaer had Kieran McKenna and Michael Carrick and co, who remained at the club, and then obviously he criticized that. Now, the evolving criticism. As time went on and the team's performance plateaued, Scholes' commentary became more critical, right? Now, initial praise. When Solskjaer first took over as interim manager, Scholes was positive, stating that the club felt like it had got your club back after what he described as, he used the S word, football under previous manager Jose Mourinho. He criticized Jose Mourinho as well, right? He praised the improved, more exciting style of play and Solskjaer's focus on youth development, comparing it to Sir Alex Ferguson's approach. As time went on, the team's performance plateaued. Scholes' commentary became more critical. He said need for trophies. Scholes repeatedly emphasized, despite the progress, Solskjaer needed to win something to prove that he could compete with top-level managers like Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp. Then, He now says, okay, with tactics and team selection, often he questions Solskjaer's in-game decisions, such as leaving key players like Paul Pogba or Bruno Fernandes on the bench in important matches. He also slammed the tactical choices in specific games, particularly a disastrous first half against Atalanta and a defensive setup against Manchester City, saying it showed a lack of conviction. This was Paul Scholes. With squad depth and quality, Paul Scholes also says, while generally supportive of players, Scholes suggested that certain individuals weren't good enough and that the overall squad needed improvement, an issue he felt Solskjaer needed to address to compete at the highest level. After the sacking, following Solskjaer's dismissal in November 2021, Scholes was critical of the coaching staff, including Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna, for staying on, saying he would be embarrassed to still be there out of loyalty to the manager who had trusted them with preparing the team. Michael Carrick went on to coach at Middlesbrough and did really well, almost brought them to the championship. What about Kieran McKenna? He went on to coach Ipswich Town and brought them up to the Premier League. I could go on and on and on and on talking about all of these statements. He has criticized everybody. This is someone who doesn't even have a managerial pedigree. He has his coaching badges and stuff, but he coached Oldham Athletic and resigned after a month, and Salford City and resigned after a month or left after a month because it was in temporary charge. Yet, he still couldn't get at least 2.0 points per game. That's what I'm talking about here, guys. I could go on and on talking about this, but this video requires definitely a part 2. Because there's what he said about Mourinho, there's what he said about Van Gaal, and there's what he said about David Moyes. It goes on and on. And I think he also played under David Moyes as well at some point. Or he retired after Sir Alex Ferguson in 2012, 2013. And then Moyes took over 2013, 2014. He said so much. If we're going to break it down, there's so much he said about different managers. So there is a pattern. He talks about style of play. He talks about who is a Manchester United person. Describe to me a Manchester United person. Who is a Manchester United manager? Who is your Manchester United manager? Is there a place where they manufacture Manchester United managers and you get them and they become at the time Mourinho was lauded as a winning manager. Antonio Conte, is he a Manchester United manager? Because Antonio Conte plays 3 at the back too as well sometimes. Right? So what are the things? The truth is, sometimes these players make us, especially these ex-players, they make us lose respect for them. And I'm sure, what's his name? I'm sure Rúben Amorim does not listen to all of those things that they say. And I'm glad that I don't know what part 2 of press conference will say, but I'm glad that he was not asked those questions, especially in the part 1. But we could go on and on talking about this for the next 1 hour and we'll still not be done. But I'll bring somebody on and then we'll talk about this. And we'll talk about all of the players that all the ex-managers talked about, all of the coaches and stuff, and all of the players as well. He's criticized even players like Bruno Fernandes. What more can somebody do? Look at Mourinho's first season. Mourinho's first season in charge of Manchester United. He had a 47% win rate, right? And then that's in 16-17. He won 1.8 points per game. And then in the 17... so in that season, he had 18 wins, 15 draws, and 5 losses. Then in the next season, he had 25 wins, 6 draws, and 7 losses. In 66%. I think that season we came second and also won the Europa League or something. That season we came second. The previous season we won the Europa League 16-17. Then obviously 25 wins, 6 draws, and 7 losses, and then came second. And basically. He had 66% win rate with 2.1 points per game. And then the third season, when he started, was sacked by December. After about 17 games, by December he was sacked. He had a 41% win rate with 1.5 points per game, 7 wins, 5 draws, and 5 losses. That's pretty much about the same amount of wins, draws, and losses that Rúben Amorim has right now. But Mourinho's zone was a bit of a toxic environment with fights with players and stuff. And then Solskjaer came on and all. So we've talked about Solskjaer, we've talked about Rangnick, we've talked about what he said about Rúben Amorim and Erik ten Hag. We'll go back into Mourinho, Van Gaal, and all of that. These are comments he's made. What do you guys make of what Scholes has said? What are your thoughts and feelings? I mean, we could go on and on talking about this for a very long time, but this video is already too long. But what I feel is that you don't just come out and criticize the management. Like this management, this new management team, Omar Berrada, Jason Wilcox, they came into this club to kind of change things. They came into this club to kind of rip things down from the scratch and build it up back up again with a new system. Is it the change that you cannot accept? Man United have not lost in 9 games. They've lost one game in 9. One game in 9. And this season, Rúben Amorim has smashed the record he had from last season with 7 wins, 4 draws and 4 losses. Compared to last season where he had 7 wins, 6 draws and 14 losses. So far this season. Yet, it's not good enough and he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He talks about entertainment at the past. This club is so, like, we're so tired of dwelling in what we've done in the past. What can we win now? Because you're, in the end, whether you play entertainment football or edge of the seat football or anything, you're going to be judged on trophies, bro. You're going to be judged on trophies. We're only challenging for 2 right now. And if one of the 2 we're not even sure of getting, that's the Premier League, obviously, but you all know my take on that. And then we have the FA Cup. At least we are seeing some signs of progress. Rúben Amorim doesn't have his full team. He doesn't have his complete midfield. He doesn't have his complete defense. But at least the goalkeeper is sorted. And in fact, the pipeline for goalkeeping is also sorted because obviously he's definitely going to get more Redek Vite coming in, who's playing well at Bristol City and stuff like that. With Senolama, it's all sorted now. The defense, at least we need like two wing backs and 1 centre back, at least 1 more centre back. The midfield, we at least need 2 midfielders, if not 3, because Casemiro is going to go at the end of the season. What of the 2 10s? We're all sorted in 10s. We could get 1 more, and then in attack we will need 1 more striker, most definitely. But think about it. This guy has not got all of his players, but he's making things work with what he has. You talk of the academy, he says, oh, he doesn't bring academy up. You forget last season I was bringing a lot of academy players to play, and against Tottenham we had all of the bench full of academy players despite all the injuries. Come on. So it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. We can always talk about this for a long time. But I would like to know your thoughts and we'll have these conversations and stuff like that. But for me, for my final take is that Scholes doesn't get it. Scholes doesn't get it, doesn't get what is going on. The kind of football he's talking about, the world has moved away from it. The world has moved away from most of the teams that play 4-4-1-1, 4-4-2, whatever. They are down in the table. The teams that play 4-2-3-1, 3-4-3 and stuff, they are high up the table. Look at Arsenal playing 4-2-3-1 and topping the league. Look at Manchester City, same thing. Look at Aston Villa, same thing. Look at Crystal Palace playing 3-4-3 and top and closer to 5th. What are we talking about? Well, it is what it is. It's Man United. You have to criticize. He says that the recruitment team cannot get, they don't get it because they are not Manchester United people. Who are the Manchester United people? Suggest. Because it's not about criticizing, bring solutions. Okay, you said, Rúben Amorim is not a Manchester United manager. Who is the Manchester United manager that you're going to bring now? That is a Manchester United manager through and through. If you want the job, apply for it, but definitely you're not going to get it because you don't have a record. No disrespect, like I said, no disrespect to Scholes. We put his legacy to one side and analyze him as a pundit. That's my take. But it is what it is. We're just gonna, I'll bring someone and we'll discuss these things, and I hope that the person will be able to actually do justice to it. But it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye and God bless.